My name is Alina. I am 26 years old, and the day my parents showed up with 5 suitcases, a pressure cooker, and a declaration that they were moving in permanently was the day everything quietly ended. Not with shouting, not with revenge, just paperwork and silence. It was a Tuesday afternoon when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I had just finished a client call and was making tea when I heard the heavy dragging sound outside, like luggage wheels fighting the tiles. When I opened the door, my mother stood there, smiling like she had won something. My father nodded behind her, already stepping forward as if the house belonged to him. "Surprise," she said. "We're here to stay. Forever." I thought she was joking. She wasn't. They walked in without waiting for permission. Suitcases rolled across the floor. My father looked around the living room with the same critical expression he always had. "Small," he muttered, "but manageable." Manageable. The word hit me harder than I expected. For years, nothing I did had ever been enough for them. Not my job, not my independence, not the way I built this home from nothing. And now they had arrived to occupy it. My mother headed straight toward the hallway that led to the guest wing. "Our room is still ready, right?" she asked casually. "We'll need space for storage, too. Your father's medicines, my things, you understand." I didn't answer immediately, because technically there was no guest wing anymore. 2 months earlier, I had sold it, quietly, legally, completely. But I didn't say that yet. Instead, I asked the question I had never dared ask before. "How long are you planning to stay?" My father laughed, not kindly. "Daughter, this is our home now. You live alone. It makes sense we stay here permanently. Family supports family." Supports. Another word that sounded warm but had always meant control. They had decided, without asking, without warning, without thinking I might have a life that didn't revolve around them anymore. My mother walked down the hallway confidently, and then stopped. The door at the end was different, new, modern, with a digital lock. She frowned and turned to me. "Why is this door locked?" I placed my tea on the table carefully. "Because it's not ours anymore." Silence. My father stepped forward slowly. "How do you mean?" I held his gaze steadily. "I sold the guest wing 2 months ago." The room didn't explode, no dramatic shouting, just a long, heavy pause, like the house itself was waiting. My mother blinked rapidly. "You, what?" I continued calmly. "It has a separate entrance. Independent utilities. It was legally registered as a partial unit. I sold it to a buyer who moved in last week." My father's voice hardened. "You sold family property without permission?" I shook my head. "It wasn't family property. I bought this house alone, with my money, my loan, my name." They stared at me like they were seeing a stranger. And maybe they were, because the version of me who used to apologize for breathing too loudly no longer existed. My mother's voice rose, trembling with anger. "Where are we supposed to live now?" I answered gently. "You didn't ask if you could move in." The truth settled heavily between us. For years, they had made decisions for me, chosen my subjects, rejected my opportunities, called my independence disrespect. And now, they had assumed access to my life again. But life had already moved forward. The doorbell rang again. 3 soft knocks. I opened it to reveal the new owner of the guest wing, a polite young woman holding a folder. "Hi," she said. "I just wanted to confirm the utility transfer paperwork." My parents stood frozen behind me. Reality in physical form. I signed the document calmly. The woman thanked me and left. When I turned back, my father looked smaller somehow. "You planned this," he said quietly. "No," I replied. "I planned my life." My mother sat down slowly on the sofa. "So you really won't let us stay?" I hesitated. Not because I doubted my decision, but because a part of me still wished they had come as parents, not as owners. "I can help you find a place nearby," I said softly. "I'll support you, but I won't give up my home." The conversation that followed wasn't loud. It was tired. Years of unspoken expectations finally had nowhere left to hide. They stayed that night in a hotel. The next morning, my father called. His voice was different. Not warm, not cold, just careful. "We found an apartment," he said. "We'll manage." Manage. The same word he had used for my home, only now it meant survival, not control. Weeks passed. Distance replaced tension, and something unexpected happened. For the first time, when they visited, they knocked. They called before coming. They asked, "Is this a good time?" Not because they had changed completely, but because boundaries had finally been made real. You see, I didn't sell the guest wing to hurt them. I sold it because I'd spent my whole life making room for expectations that were never mine. And sometimes the only way to be heard is not to argue, but to make certain things technically impossible. So when people ask me if I regret it, I tell them this: they arrived planning to stay forever. But forever only works when both sides choose it. And for the first time in my life,